Hi everyone, it looks like we're back. We're really sorry for the technical difficulties, not really sure what happened. But we're going to start off with Botswana, and I'm just going to go through the country information really quickly and then talk about the school. And then we actually have a student with us that studied in Botswana this past year, and she's going to share her experiences with us. So Botswana is completely different from Ghana. It's a more Western country. Though very traditional systems still exist, it's a lot less populous with about 2 million people in the country the size of Texas or France. So it's an upper middle income country by World Bank standards, and it's been noted as one of the most stable economies in all of Africa, and it's maintained one of the highest economic growth rates, according to the CIA. This wealth comes from diamonds. Botswana has 3 of the richest diamond mines, and the government, I think, really got it right. They've taken all the money from the diamonds, and they've redistributed it back into the community. So it has one of the strongest public sectors, so they've improved all the social services like education and health care. And it's some of the best services in all of sub-Saharan Africa. About 85% of the country is considered the Kalahari Desert, which is the 4th largest subtropical desert in the world. The Kalahari Desert is home to the largest inlet delta in the world, the Okavango Delta, and the desert supports a large variety of exotic animals. So students who have that interest will get the chance to explore that here. It's in close proximity to Victoria Falls and the Zambezi River. So like Brittany said in the beginning, students will have the opportunity to do a lot of traveling in the region relatively inexpensively. As for the visa, no visa is needed to enter Botswana, but a student permit is needed. The student will get that in country, and the Office of International Education and Partnerships will facilitate this process. The student permit is about $50 US, and the students will need a copy of their birth certificate, and it has to be certified, 2 passport-sized photos, their PPAF, and their admissions letter from the University of Botswana. The University of Botswana is located in the city center, in the capital city of Gaborone. It enrolls about 17,000 students and is one of the top-ranked schools in Botswana. There are several benefits at the University of Botswana. Airport pickup is also included. There's lots of on-site support and suggested excursions, and the University of Botswana will actually encourage students to do that. Although the University of Botswana is located in the southern hemisphere, it operates on the northern hemisphere calendar. This school is good for students who are interested in more of the hard sciences and environmental studies. Most of our students who come from Botswana are business students, so any of your business students that are interested in this particular university should find a good home within that particular school. They're really receptive to international students, and they understand ICEP's model. I've listed the popular courses just like for Ghana in the email that I sent. But here are a few tips on how to find courses at the University of Botswana. The university has actually just revamped the website and has made it a lot easier to find courses and descriptions. All of the course descriptions are not listed, however, but I'm working with the ICEP coordinator to try to get those course descriptions listed online. This is a really big task. So until then, you can definitely feel free to communicate with me. I have some of the handbooks in my possession, and I can get those course descriptions for you. So if you can't find those, definitely let me know. All of the courses are taught in English, but students are able to take Setswana courses. And just like Ghana, the chances of placement at the University of Botswana is very limited. UB typically sends out 6 to 9 students per year, so it's a little better than Ghana, but still very limited. I make my selections at the University of Botswana just like I make the selections at the University of Ghana. So it's based on the same criteria. Again, all of your comments are very, very helpful. In terms of advising students, there's a supplemental University of Botswana application that has to be submitted, and it can be found on the membership directory page. And students who are interested in exotic animals and wildlife will do very well here. Students may do better if they need a few more Western amenities, might find this site helpful. But if they're still looking for a traditional African experience, Botswana is a good place for that. You should nominate students who are okay with a little less hand-holding and a little more ambiguity, and also students who are very resourceful. This is an excellent university with lots of resources for students, but there are a lot of international students on campus, and the staff members juggle a lot of responsibilities. We just nominated a brand new coordinator, Doreen. She's excellent. She's worked with the Peace Corps and with lots of NGO placements for the last 7 years, and she's full of energy and excited to work with ISEP. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Katie, who was a student there this past year, and she's going to share some of her experiences. Welcome, Katie.
Morning. Thank you for having me. Hope you can hear me. My name's Katie. I am from originally New Mexico, and I am a senior at Fort Lewis College in Durango, Colorado, and I'm a proud ISEP alumni of the University of Botswana, where I studied from January to May of this past year. So my perspective is rather recent. So highlights about what makes Botswana particularly unique is, first, it's landlocked. So it is an absolute African immersion. And you're living in the dorms. I was taking classes with Botswana students. I had Botswana roommates. I was sharing a bathroom with Botswana roommates. And then also, although classes are taught in English, one of the things about Botswana is every other language is in Botswana. So you have much more of a motivation to learn the native language, which is really, really great. And another highlight of the program is the support that the University of Botswana, that I found at UB. And yes, like Shanika said, that the Office of International and Educational Programs, OEP, does have a lot of needs to meet because they have a fantastic, diverse international student community from students from all over Africa, as well as the Asia and the Middle East. But they but they are very great about giving you an orientation to get you off on the right foot and to introduce you to those resources that are available. The University of Botswana has a fantastic counseling center for when you get homesick. The University of Botswana's disability services, I can personally testify that they're fantastic, and it's a great volunteer opportunity. I was about to volunteer there, but time just didn't work out. And it's just a fantastic, fantastic school. The personal growth in my experiences and what I've learned about specifically global health and the psychosocial support that the Botswana government has given to its people is phenomenal. And I hope other countries in the U.S. can sometimes take a few hints, a few examples from what Botswana has done. It's truly fantastic in the face of the HIV/AIDS pandemic and other concerns. Real quickly, one of the things about ISEP that I do want to kind of stretch out the ISEP sites as a student, I'm actually on the autism spectrum, and I found incredible support in Africa. I know it's thought that a lot of Africa can't handle a lot of the needs, but there are a lot of, I'm still amazed at the amount of exchange students that were on antidepressants, that there was a exchange student with diabetes, and I always felt supported no matter where I was, and I think it was one of the best therapies that I had. Hands down. So I know we're kind of short on time, so I'm going to yield, but thank you very much, and please consider Africa. After all, it is the continent with the most countries, and it is a phenomenal experience.
All right. Thanks very much, Katie. Moving east, we're going to now talk about the United Arab Emirates, which is the perfect example of East meets West. It's both very modern and very traditional. It has the world's tallest building, a lavish nightlife, but it also has strong traditional Bedouin customs and Islamic beliefs. And we have our coordinator, Osama Mafraji from AUS, on the call today, and he'll be able to answer questions at the end. The UAE is a really safe and stable country within the region. It's also one of the fastest growing and developing countries in the Middle East. In 2009, the population was 4 million, and now only 4 years later, it has doubled. Construction, tourism, and healthcare industries are booming, and the education sector is expanding greatly as well. Emirati leaders are really committed to growing the education sector for both Emiratis and international students, and billions of dollars are being put towards this. In 2001, a group of students from Abu Dhabi created the inaugural Education Without Borders International Student Conference, and that's now held in the country every year, and it brings together students from all over the world to talk about that year's theme. In 2011, the theme was Global Challenges, Diverse Perspectives, Unified Action. And the UAE is also at the forefront of women's rights in the Middle East. The U.S. Institute of Peace recently launched a lecture series with the Emir's wife, in which she'll talk about the role women can play in the new era of global security and peace building. Sharjah, where our university is located, is the third biggest emirate, and it was designated as the cultural capital of the Arab world in 1998 by UNESCO. The Emir of Sharjah has a really strong passion for education and cultural preservation, and that's why it's renowned throughout the region for its commitment to cultural preservation and preservation of the local heritage. Sharjah has many traditional souks where students can go to shop and get a more authentic experience. And Sharjah is also one of the more conservative emirates. There's a strict dress code. Men and women have to cover both their shoulders and legs all the time, and there's no alcohol or pork in Sharjah. University City is where AUS's campus is located, along with many other university campuses. It's an educational complex, and it's about 10 miles outside of the downtown. It takes 15 minutes to get to University City from downtown Sharjah and about 30 minutes from Dubai. And AUS provides a regular bus service from University City into the closest Dubai metro stop. Students who are placed for a semester or full year will need to apply for a one-year residence visa, and AUS is incredibly helpful with this process. Your student will receive a pre-arrival guide with all of the necessary paperwork. And then once at AUS, the student applies for a national ID card, which the Office of International Programs will also help with, and the student will need to get an X-ray and a blood test done. Summer students only need a visit visa, and they can choose between a 90-day or 30-day visa, and those are single entry, and no X-ray or blood test is required for summer students. The American University of Sharjah is where our program is at, and it was founded in 1997 as a not-for-profit independent institution based on the American model. It has 4 major colleges: the College of Architecture, Art, and Design, the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Engineering, and then the School of Business and Management. The international office, or the IXO, at AUS is really great in terms of support for ISEP students. They arrange free airport pickup from either the Dubai International Airport or the Sharjah International Airport. They oversee a 2-day orientation that covers health services, the dress code, cultural considerations, academic terms, things like that. And Osama is an ISEP alumnus who studied at San Diego State, so he really understands the ISEP model. And the provost of international studies at AUS, Dr. Thomas Hostetler, is the chair of the ISEP board of directors. So overall, AUS is really on board with ISEP. Both direct and exchange students live on campus in double rooms with a bathroom and a kitchenette. And AUS has a strict dorm curfew policy. Students have to be in by midnight, Sunday through Wednesday, and then 1 a.m. on the weekends, which is Thursday through Saturday. And your students can have permission forms signed before they get there if they want to stay out on the weekends. There are tons of student activities. There are over 70 clubs and organizations. AUS has a state-of-the-art sports complex and an Olympic-size indoor swimming pool, a fitness center, 21 sports teams. There's just a ton for your students to participate in once they're on campus. AUS started sending students on ISEP in 2010, and in that first year they sent out 2 students and received 8. The next year they sent out 6 and received 6, so we're working on growing their numbers. Chances of placement are limited, but definitely getting better as we work on mobilizing more Emirati students to come to the U.S., and chances of placement on direct are excellent. AUS is an American accredited institution. One really important thing to note is that all ISEP students, either exchange or direct, have to take at least one Arabic language course. AUS has a very good engineering program as well that's ABET accredited, so I highly recommend this school for your engineering students because oftentimes it's difficult for engineering majors to study abroad and still complete their major coursework on time. So this is a great option for them. Business and economics courses are also very strong, as well as the Middle Eastern Studies program, which is really popular among international students. They offer Media Arabic, Economics of the Middle East, Islamic banking markets, courses such as those. So there's really great Middle Eastern Studies program. And then the summer program is a 6-week intensive language program for elementary and elementary advanced Arabic speakers. It combines formal classroom instruction and informal conversation practice, and the fee is only $5,400, and that includes weekend excursions to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And like I said before, AUS is highly rated and accredited. It's really well structured. The College of Engineering is ABET accredited. The Bachelor of Architecture program is NAAB accredited, and the school in general is accredited in the USA by the Commission on Higher Education of the Middle States Association of Colleges and Schools. So it is a great program.
And our last country, South Africa. South Africa's positive reputation definitely speaks for itself. It's a very, very diverse country that attracts visitors from every walk of life, for good reason, might I add. There are very few concise statements to describe South Africa as a whole, but I'll try. Depending on where students visit and what they're interested in, they could have a completely different African experience. They can experience skyscrapers and villages and townships within minutes from each other. They could, have world-renowned international cuisine, street food, or bushmeat. Students could meet with families that are very wealthy, that share communities with families that are living below the poverty line. They're very exotic combinations of landscapes and mountains, oceans, savannas, grasslands, just a very, very diverse and unique place. It's very busy and very complex. It has about 50 million people living in a country the size of Texas or France. And there are 11 official languages in 3 different capital cities. There are many, many racial and ethnic groups that are represented here. And South Africa itself has a very dramatic history of race relations through the apartheid system, which is a political system that was built on the premises of racial segregation. As such, this is a very fascinating place for your students who are interested in studying political systems or peacekeeping, development, race, and sociology. 60% of South Africa's GDP is generated in Johannesburg, making Joburg not only one of the 50 largest metropolitan cities in the world, but also the wealthiest city in South Africa. Any student with even a remote interest in emerging markets, globalization, and technology will definitely find a promising experience in Johannesburg. So business, econ, development students who are looking for a non-traditional location should certainly consider Johannesburg. As for the country attractions, this is a huge vacation destination, so there are more attractions for students than this webinar can possibly hold. But the country is much more than safaris and vineyards. It's a really incredibly diverse place. There are 8 World Heritage UNESCO sites located in the country and a host of other attractions. As for visa information, no visas are needed to enter the country, but a student permit is needed, and the student should get it before arriving in the country. Students have to submit a police clearance report, proof of health insurance, a letter from the school, and their health exams. And Liesel, who's the ISEP coordinator at the University of Johannesburg, is instrumental in helping students navigate this process. So the University of Johannesburg is one of our newest ISEP programs, a really exciting program. The university itself is relatively new. It's been a collective university since 2005. It's the merging of 5 different universities within South Africa to complete the system that they now deem as the University of Johannesburg. Each campus has a lot of history in a very unique field. ISEP operates on 3 of the 4 campuses, and one campus actually sits in the middle of the world's one of the world's most famous townships, which is called Soweto. This university is renowned for research, and 90 of its professors were rated by South African standards, and 5 of them are A-rated, which simply means that they are world leaders in their fields. The university has 20 different research centers, so it's a good place for students who are interested in research. There are plenty of student groups and activities for your students to get involved with, and it includes, but definitely isn't limited to, sporting groups, art groups, cultural groups, and the international community on campus is extremely large and diverse. There are a lot of students from all parts of sub-Saharan Africa and all around the world. So the international office is very busy, very active on campus, so there's always something to do and lots of support for your international students. This particular site is really good for a variety of majors, but based on conversations that I had the last time I was there with the department heads, you should definitely recommend this site for any of your students who have an interest in geology. This department spends a lot of time in the field at many of the UNESCO sites that I mentioned earlier, and this department has a lot of exposure with international students, and they're very, very welcoming of ISEP students. Political science and international development students will also do very well here. Since this is our first semester with the University of Johannesburg, I don't have the courses that students have previously taken, but I am starting to compile those courses as students do visit this university. Finding courses and course descriptions are pretty straightforward on the University of Johannesburg's website, though some of the courses, the colleges don't have course listings, so they can be a little bit ambiguous. Just email me. This is a learning process for all of us, so I'm more than happy to contact those departments and the coordinators to get those courses for you. English is the language of instruction, but as I mentioned, you have 11 choices to pick from if students are interested in taking any other language. So far, exchange placement is good, and direct placement is excellent. A few advising tips. The ISEP application must be complete and turned in on time. Just a little synopsis of how this process goes. The application arrives in our office, and then we take care of it, and then we send it to the University of Johannesburg, and that application goes to many offices. If even one piece of the application is missing, and that could be the passport, or if the student doesn't have it, their ID, their courses that they want to take, their transcript, it delays the entire process, and them not having that could push their confirmation back for weeks. So it's really important to turn in complete applications for the University of Johannesburg. You should be sure to nominate very, very independent students who need very little hand-holding. There's lots of support at the University of Johannesburg, but South Africa isn't necessarily a place where students spend most of their time on campus. There's so much to do in the country that they're not necessarily in constant communication with the coordinators. So I really recommend students who are very mature and very independent. Also, students who can do well in a very large and very busy city should be nominated. This city is no different than New York City or DC or any other large city around the world. There are pockets of crime, and students who are not mature and who aren't responsible and travel savvy will not do well here. This is very, very important. The last 2 times I was in South Africa, I lived in the township at one point and on the campus at another point, and as a female traveling alone, I did very well, but I also knew where I should go, where I shouldn't go. I didn't flash my electronics. I took identified public transportation both during the day and at night, and I loved it. I had a fantastic experience. So you shouldn't be necessarily worried about crime as long as you're nominating students that are mature, independent, and that are travel savvy. This is an excellent site for ISEP students. And lastly, the ISEP coordinator is Liesel, and she's been working in this field for about 15 years, and she manages many, many students. She's very happy to help students find internships, community engagement opportunities, but she will need advance notice. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our conversation, and we'd like to invite you all to ask any questions that you may have. We realize that we did run through this relatively quickly just so that we didn't keep you forever. And again, we apologize about the technical difficulties, but if you have any questions that went unanswered, Brittany and I can answer them, and Osama can also answer them, Katie can answer them, and also John Dark. So if you'll just type your questions into the question box, we will go ahead and entertain those.
Okay, one question that we received was, how much opportunity is there to practice French outside of formal coursework in Morocco? And is this a good fit for a student with a French background who still wants to take courses in English? And I know that my presentation on Morocco got cut short, but I will say that yes, Morocco is a great place for your students who want to learn some French or maybe take 1 or 2 courses in French while taking the majority of their coursework in English. All of the students at AUI speak French. It's either their first or second language. Your students can study it formally inside the classroom or informally by speaking with Moroccan students on campus. So yeah, this is a great place for French majors who want to go somewhere less traditional than France. I'm also going to we just got a question. What makes a strong application for the American University of Sharjah? And to answer that, I'm going to unmute Osama Mafraji, who is our coordinator there. Osama, if you'd like to speak to that, we'd love to hear your opinion.
Hi, hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for this great opportunity and for this great session. What makes a great application, I believe, if the student shows a lot of interest for this culture, and depends of course on their courses as well. And we always look at their applications individually and look at their recommendation letters and their essay. So that all adds up to make a good or strong application. Mainly students were looking for courses such as mainly for cultural courses and Middle Eastern courses. These are strong applications as well. Students are welcome to take other courses, and yeah, and I believe mainly most of our applications are so far being good and strong applicants.
Okay, thanks, Osama. Another question was to speak about some specific volunteer opportunities that are available at some of our programs. I can speak to Alaha Wayne, the community service organizer there. Her name's Alice Barnsdale. She can set your students up to work at schools in the area surrounding Ifran, to work with younger children, just doing basic reading and writing. This is great for your students who might speak French, and then there are opportunities for doing that in English as well. It can also be set up with female empowerment organizations in some of the bigger cities close by to Ifran, to work with underprivileged women and children. There's really a wide range of activities, but those are a couple of specifics.
And I can speak for volunteer opportunities. I'll start with Ghana. One really cool thing about the University of Ghana, as I mentioned earlier, is that we do a needs assessment with all of the organizations. So we figure out what their needs are and also what the students' needs are. So when the students get to the University of Ghana, Teresa does sit with them and talks to them about what they would like to get out of this experience. So when you're looking at the different community engagement opportunities that are listed for the University of Ghana, at first sight it may seem like, oh, these are for education majors or these are for health majors, but the really interesting thing is we've had a lot of experience placing business students, because some organizations may need help with fundraising or they may need help with microfinancing. So I think that's the really cool thing about the University of Ghana. They're able to customize the volunteer experiences for each of the students. With Botswana, Botswana sits right around the Southern African Development Community, which is essentially for us in the U.S. kind of like our USAID. So there are several community engagement opportunities just around the University of Botswana. SOS, organizations that work with health, organizations that also work with gender roles. So, and as I mentioned, our new ISEP coordinator there has worked with past Peace Corps volunteers and has had a lot of placement with non-government organizations, so she's able to place your students where they need to be.
Do we have any more questions? Feel free to type them into the chat or questions box if you can. All right, well, we want to thank you for attending and for speaking with us. We're sorry about the technical difficulties that we experienced. If you have any questions about our program in Morocco at El Akhawain, or if you'd like any more information that I wasn't able to cover, please feel free to email me. This is Brittany speaking. I'd be happy to answer your questions about that program. And again, we will send you the PowerPoint presentation later on today. We'll email that to you, and we will follow up with any questions that you might have. Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.